Hello and welcome back to another week of White Rose Kids with our kids lesson. We are reading from the Laugh and Learn Bible for Kids again, and one of our favorites, and I have Sawyer and Piper. You guys say hi?
Hi.
So we are reading this story called Big Changes for Saul. This is a good one. So here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You guys see the pictures?
Uh-huh.
All right. Now, it was time to spread the good news about Jesus all over the Roman world. But who should do it? Who was the right person for such a big job? Peter? Everyone looked to Peter as the leader of Jesus' followers. Filled with God's power, Peter was brave and smart. But Peter wasn't a Roman citizen. That meant it would be hard for him to travel throughout the Roman world. Besides, Peter had only lived in Israel, so he didn't know very much about the rest of the Roman world. If Peter wasn't the right one, who was? God had someone very special in mind for this very special job, a guy named Saul. You're probably thinking, but Saul was the king of Israel 1,000 years ago. How could he still be alive? This is a different Saul, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Joseph and Mary, Saul was a popular name back then, but we don't usually call this guy Saul. Saul was his Hebrew name, the name of his Jewish friends called him. Outside of Israel, his friends called him by his Greek name. His Greek name was, do you know?
God.
Paul.
Paul.
Heard of him? Have you heard of Paul? Yep. He's pretty famous. A lot of people are named Paul today, and that name became popular because of this famous guy named Paul. Paul was
Why is he so mad? And he did that?
Well, let's keep reading and find out. Paul was a Pharisee. Yes, one of the Jewish leaders who were really concerned about following the rules, all the rules. The Pharisees thought Jesus was breaking rules, so they worked together with the Sadducees to have Jesus arrested. Paul was so concerned about the rules that after Jesus died, he made it his job to arrest as many of Jesus' friends as he could. Paul was an enemy of Jesus. Ooh, not good, right? Until one day when something really crazy happened. Paul was traveling to a town called Damascus, hoping to find more of Jesus' friends to arrest. As he was walking down the road, suddenly a bright light from the sky hit him right in the face, and he heard a voice speaking to him from heaven. In Hebrew, the Jewish language, the voice said, "Saul, Saul, why are you trying to hurt me?" Paul was so surprised he fell down on the ground. "Who are you?" he asked. Then the voice said, "I am Jesus, the one you are trying to hurt." Jesus was talking to Paul. What? Remember, Jesus had already gone back up into heaven at this point. That's just crazy. I know. God works in crazy ways sometimes. When Paul stood up, he couldn't see anything. He was totally blind. Jesus told him to go on with his friends to Damascus anyway and wait there. In Damascus, there lived a man named Ananias, who was a follower of Jesus. One day, Jesus showed up in a dream and told Ananias to go find Paul. Ananias was confused. He'd heard of Paul, and he knew Paul wanted to arrest all of Jesus' friends. "Why would you want me to find him?" Ananias asked. "He's mean." But Jesus said, "This is the one I'm going to use to spread the gospel, or the good news about me, to everyone, to Jews and Gentiles, and even to kings." So Ananias trusted Jesus and went to find Paul. As soon as Ananias found Paul, he touched him, and immediately Paul could see again. And right then, Paul became a follower of Jesus and started running around Damascus yelling, "Jesus is the Son of God." Yes.
I got a question.
Just like that, Paul went from being Jesus' enemy to becoming Jesus' friend. And now Paul was ready to turn the Roman world upside down. What? We're going to hear some more about Paul in the coming weeks. But first, the everyday truth here. This is a really good one. I like this. God will open my eyes to see his truth so I can tell the world. Just like Paul did.
Now I can question this. Did he went upside down, right side up again?
Not really. It's more of a figure of speech. So here's the question. Why do you think God blinded Paul and then healed him? What do you think?
Because he was the one who he was going to use.
Yeah. It was a good way to get Paul's attention, wasn't it? So many reasons. Maybe we could say, because Paul was kind of blind. When he didn't know Jesus, he was blind to what things were really like.
We're going to have puppets today.
What are some ways that God can prepare us to be his messengers? That's a good question. What do you think? Maybe provide good teachers in our lives.
Tell people about God.
Yeah. Those kind of things. Okay. Well, now we would like to introduce everybody watching to some new friends of ours, right? Mm-hmm. So we are going to meet Jonathan and Emmie. Close. Yep.
Emmie.
We're going to meet Jonathan and Emmie, and they're going to share a little bit more about Paul and his story.
Hey, Jonathan, what are you doing?
Oh, hi, Emmie. The strangest thing just happened.
What?
Well, I caught a caterpillar and put it in this cage, and now it's nowhere to be found.
Did you make sure that it wasn't a Cheeto this time?
Of course it wasn't a Cheeto. It was green and moved and ate leaves. I won't make that mistake twice.
Is that it? No. Oh, no, that's just a leaf. Yeah, I don't see it anywhere.
All I found was this droopy leaf thing.
Wait a minute. That's it.
Huh?
It's in a cocoon.
What's that?
That's part of their life cycle. They go from a caterpillar into a cocoon.
Emmie, time to go.
Sorry, I've got to go. See you later, Jonathan.
Bye. See ya.
A few days later.
Emmie, you're never going to guess what happened.
What?
I was looking at the cocoon that my caterpillar, Bruce, made, and it opened, and a butterfly came out. What happened to Bruce, and where did that butterfly come from?
That's what happens to caterpillars. They go from caterpillars to cocoons to butterflies.
Wow.
Isn't God an amazing creator?
He sure is.
That reminds me of a Bible story.
Ooh, tell me. I do love a good story.
There once was this mean and angry man named Saul.
Is he the bad guy in the story?
Well, yes and no. He started off pretty bad. He even persecuted Christians.
Persecuted? What's that mean?
He treated Christians really badly, and he was mean and cruel, and he was out to get them. So Saul,
the bad guy,
for now, Saul was on his way to the city of Damascus. He was going there to arrest any Christians in the synagogues, which was their church. He was going to bring them back to Jerusalem in chains.
Well, that's just mean.
But when he was still on the road to Damascus, a light from heaven suddenly shone down around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?"
Who was the voice?
Well, that's what Saul asked too. The voice said he was Jesus, the one that Saul had been persecuting. Then he told Saul to get up and go into the city, and he would be told what to do.
Plot twist.
Yeah, and get this. When Saul got up and discovered he couldn't see, the men who were with him led him into the city. He was there for 3 days and didn't eat or drink.
Could he see again?
Nope, he was still blind. The Lord had told him, one of the believers in Damascus, a man named Ananias, to go and lay his hand on Saul and he would be able to see again.
Wait, was this Ananias one of the people Saul was coming to arrest?
He sure was.
Well, if I was Ananias, I don't know if I would have wanted to go.
Neither did he, but the Lord told Ananias that Saul would be his chosen instrument to take God's message to all people. So he went and did just what God told him to do. Saul got back his sight and he was immediately baptized. Then he ate something.
Wow, that's quite the story.
But it doesn't end there. Saul started preaching about Jesus right away in the city of Damascus. And he didn't stop there. He took God's message all over their world. And he even wrote 13 books of the New Testament in the Bible.
Wait a minute. I thought that was Paul.
Yeah, Saul and Paul are the same person.
Oh, so did he change his name after he became a believer in God?
That's what a lot of people think. But actually Saul was his Hebrew or Jewish name, and Paul was his Greek name. So since he spent most of his time teaching non-Jewish people about God, he became known as Paul.
How did Paul remind you of my caterpillar, Bruce?
Well, just like a caterpillar becomes a new creature, a butterfly, when Saul became a believer, he became a new creature. Instead of fighting against God and his people, he became one of them and spread God's message.
Maybe I should change my caterpillar's name from Bruce to Paul.
Is he Greek?
You never know.
All right, thank you for joining us today. If you liked the puppets, let us know in the comments so that maybe we'll keep doing it, maybe we won't. But I just want to encourage each of you, if you have received Jesus into your heart, then you are just like Paul. You were blind once, and now you can see because Jesus' truth has shown in your life, and you can see the way. You can see the truth for what life is supposed to be. And we are all supposed to be God's messengers, just like Paul. So I want to say a special thank you to Bethany and William for helping us out today, and we'll see you next week.